Hello and welcome to Talk. My name is Jesus Molina. I'm the coordinator of the Veteran Center and Multicultural Initiatives. Today's episode, we'll talk about Black History Month, which occurs every February to honor and acknowledge the vast contributions of the Black and African American communities. To kind of help us with that, we have two special guests with us today. If both of you would like to introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Aisha Robinson. I am an academic advisor at Harper College, as well as adjunct faculty, as well as I am a co-advisor for Black Student Union.
Hi, I'm DuBoi McCarty. I'm a counselor at Harper. Teach a diversity class. I teach a first year seminar as well as a humanistic psychology. And I'm also an advisor to Black Student Union.
Awesome. And to kind of go off on the Black Student Union, could you give us a little background on BSU and how it got started?
Absolutely. So, and this is the background as far as from what I know about it. You know, I don't know about the, 1960s and that kind of thing. But I do know that one of my fellow colleagues at Harper, Festus Johnson, was one of the first people that I know of who was a part of Black Student Union and getting the students to have a formal club. And he advised it for a few years. And prior to him, after him, I think Travaris Harris and some of the people in the Center for Multicultural Learning kind of kept the club going. And then I came along a few years after that, and I was the advisor for the group. And, I've been at Harper since 2005, so I've been working with the group for quite a while. And year after year, we recruit students to be a part of the club. We try to engage them in the culture of the college more so than just Black culture. We try to help them be positive role models and leaders on campus as well. And we try to create an environment that makes students of color, and particularly Black students, feel they're a part of something strong at the college, and that they make a difference, that they're welcome. And, that's a major part of what the club is about. It's not just about Black students, but it's about, the Black presence and honoring that Black presence. And we welcome students from all backgrounds and nationalities to the clubs. So everyone should be welcome, should feel welcome to participate in Black Student Union.
I mean, I think DuBoi said everything in a nutshell, but I've only participated in the last couple of years, and I would just say it was a really good experience even for myself, just really getting to my own personal self navigate across campus in the different departments, but also enjoying that journey along with the students. So we all had a journey together. And one thing I push is to learn and grow from each other. So it's not just DuBoi and I setting an example, but it's also the students setting an example, and they teaching us some things and teaching us what I think are the millennials or Gen X, like teaching us their way of thinking and learning and growing, so we can all bridge that gap together and continue to be a presence and a force on campus.
And you both kind of alluded to what BSU kind of brings to the table. Can you kind of expand on what Black Student Union kind of plays in the whole student experience? Like, what do students kind of take away from being part of the Black Student Union?
I have an example in my mind, so I'm gonna go ahead and speak on that example. Part of the club, I remember we were advertising for club events, and a student saw one of the flyers and said, why do you even need to have a Black student union? And then they said, well, there's no white student union, so why do you need a Black student union? And it was a student who, put their name on the card. They identified themselves, is really what I'm getting at here. So we encouraged that student hey, thank you for the feedback. We'd like to have a conversation with you about, your inquiry and your questioning. Because we wanted to explain to the student exactly why there is a need for a Black student union. There's no white student union because the white students, live a majority experience, live a privileged experience. Not saying that everything's a cakewalk for white people, but the Black experience is very different. in terms of historically and systematic and institutional discriminations and segregations that have, kind of taken place within our society, which have marginalized opportunity and marginalized the experience for Black people. So that's why the club is in existence, to strengthen and to build where those discriminations have happened in the past, that have influenced how people live, have influenced economic opportunities for family, have influenced abilities to build cultural and economic capital, and so that's a part of what the club is about. So as we exist on campus, it's about filling in the gaps where students may not even know the gaps exist. We're trying to educate in ways that students will benefit not just academically, but as people, that can be great contributors to society, and into their communities. So that's a major part of what students should expect and take away from being a part of the club. And to know that there are people who genuinely care about them as people, beyond just who they are right now as students. I communicate regularly with students from 10, 15 years ago that were part of BSU to this day. And I think that, speaks volumes to what it's about. It's not just about your current experience, but it's about, as people, we really connect with you that way, and we're helping people advance. And as Aisha said, beautifully, they help us as well. It's not like we're pouring out. We're taking in just as well as being a part of the advisors of this club. So.
And I think too, it's also given them a sense of belonging. Speaking from my own personal experience, I went to a predominantly white institution, and I, at one point, didn't have a sense of belonging. And so, looking for students to identify with culturally, we all, what do we like to listen to and talk to, and just understand some of the things we personally have gone through. Just having that sense of belonging as a community, and we don't treat it as a club, but while we treat it as a family. So we're calling it, it's a family, and it's something that hold near and dear to our hearts. The one thing that students can take away is that we push our students to go into leadership opportunities. We push our students to excel academically. We push our students to be involved holistically across campus so they can get those skills, work on their soft skills, work on their hard skills, work on their transitional skills. So what they're learning from DuBoi and I, from other students and from other faculty and staff at Harper, they can also take that and transition that into society, into the real world. So when we're planning events, it's DuBoi and I planning, but taking that step back and actually pushing our students to plan the events. To how do you set up meetings? How do you order? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you connect with different department leaders throughout the institution so they can understand and get those skill sets that sometimes students just don't get that opportunity. They don't have that opportunity and they don't get it. So that's something that we hold near dear to try to get that experience across to our students while they're involved in the club.
Definitely, I completely agree. Representation matters. Having that peer support goes a long way, especially going to a school that might be, predominantly white. You definitely find those, populations where you can connect and share, have similar experiences, and help you navigate, the education system where sometimes, and I don't want to assume, but a lot of times we're first generation students where we don't know, the ins and outs of, what we need to learn outside the classroom. We might just take away that, we just have to go to class and that's it. But there's so much learning that goes outside the classroom that can help us later on transfer out of Harper, transfer to our career or whatnot. So that's definitely great points to make. With your experience with Black Student Union and in highlighting some of the things that they learned, what were some of the events that you love to organize or host that BSU was involved with?
So you want me to go or you want to go? Well, I'll talk some about the current, and I know DuBoi said he's going to pick up at the end the ones that, but one event that the students really liked was when we did meet the Black faculty. We reached out, DuBoi and I, we reached out to a lot of the Black faculty, administrators, teachers, staff, adjunct, custodial. It didn't matter if you were of an African American descent. We asked, if you could participate in students meeting other professors or other teachers. So we had an event, and it really went well. That the students was actually able to see other people across campus, because again, we're a commuter school. If our students are not staying there getting involved, they're coming to class and going home. So this is one way to connect students, not just academically, but also socially. And then also we had our Black History Month last year, I felt was really good. We got a lot of positive feedback. We worked hard for that month, and we had some events, and we started, changed it, rearranged. That's the good thing about planning. But just even we had an entrepreneurship day where we had people that own their own personal business come out, and students were able to talk about different things. How do you start a business? What does that look like? Can I even start a business at my age? Like, what skill set do I need? We did a Black trivia where students actually learned about Black history. So many times we know we're confined to 28 days, and we know Black history is all year round. And we want to make sure we continue to educate our students. So students culturally, different cultures participated in playing these games with our students. We were set up by the library. I can't think of that, but we were set up right there in that walkway, and we got a lot of positive feedback for students just even wanting to participate and play, trivia with our students. So those are some of our events. DuBoi, I know you got a couple that I missed.
Yeah. We used to go to the Judge Mathis show. That was something that was just a really, really fun thing to do. Hopefully, we may come back to that depending on what happens with COVID and all the rest of those things. But, it was a chance to actually get to an actual live production of a television show and see, what the behind the scenes was all about, the audience production, and to actually sit in the show and experience a court case. It was a great learning experience for students about how to prepare for court if you're ever going to present yourself, how to speak to the judge, from seeing what going into the actual studio was like. So it was a great, great learning experience, as well as being an entertaining experience. And Aisha spoke a moment ago about Meet the Black Faculty programming. I remember a few years back at one of our Meet the Black Faculty programs, the Black faculty and staff members challenged the students to do more philanthropy, and it was, they said, why don't you become more active in the community? And, the students really responded like immediately to that challenge, and they developed a mentoring program. They reached out to the students at their former high school, and they developed a mentoring program where we actually went, took students from Harper, Black students from Harper, I should say Black Student Union members, because they weren't all Black actually, but we took them to the high school, and we, conducted a mentoring program for the high school students. It was about, becoming ready for the college experience. It was about making the most of the high school experience and then being prepared for transition. So we did that at Buffalo Grove High School, and then we also did that at Palatine High School. So, that was, I just thought it was an excellent thing because it started with a challenge from, the faculty staff at one program, and it developed into a new program that, lasted, I think we did that maybe 3 years. We had that going. So that was pretty nice. A Kwanzaa show was something that we used to do pretty often. We haven't done that in the recent years, but maybe that'll be something that comes back. But it's a chance to celebrate our culture at the college. Well attended, actually really well attended. And we had soul food there, and we invited other people from other schools and churches, and they came and participated in the event and performed even. So that was great. And something as simple as even having movies. I remember we went to a couple of movies. We went to see Red Tails with the Black Student Union group, as well as we went to go see Black Panther, and some of the conversation just after seeing those films and what it kind of planted into the students' minds and their ideas and their thoughts. It was a culturally relevant experience that enriched the community. So. Those are a few, just to kind of throw some things out there of what the club's done over the years, and how it's just been an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, those are some great events, especially that whole challenge of giving back to your community and helping others. Because not only do you like help your community, but also when looking at, scholarships and grants, what people don't sometimes realize is that, there's a lot of scholarships that have like a community service component. Like, are you active in your community? Do you volunteer? And so it's definitely a great way to kind of not only give back, but also help you along the way as well. And Aisha, you kind of, brought up, and both of you kind of brought up, with the Black History Month, and not just being just 28 days or 27 days, depending on if it's a leap year or not.
Right.
But what does Black History Month mean to each of you?
What does it mean to me? Black History Month. I think it's great that we have a Black History Month, because it gives an opportunity for the world to kind of recognize and take an opportunity to see the relevance of Black contribution to society and the world. So for that reason, I think it's fantastic. In some ways, I think, oh, it's sad that we have to have a Black History Month, because you would like to just be appreciated all the time, but we have cultural awareness months, quite often, because it's not the case. It's really not the case. So for me, it's a chance and an opportunity to engage in reflection, particularly about the Black contribution, the Black experience, the Black struggle, as well. So it's a large experience to embrace, and I don't know that one month in any case, really, encompasses it at all. But it's an opportunity to at least acknowledge, hey, there's something there for us all to learn and reflect on, particularly about Black culture.
And I agree too. I just think it means power. It means change. It's colorful. It's eventful. We love our people that they talk about a lot, like your Martin Luther King and your Rosa Parks and your Malcolm X. But I think sometimes people don't understand our Black history and our African American culture goes way deep. And like DuBoi said, the struggle from where we came from to where we're going, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be recognized. There's so many African American people that are doing such phenomenal jobs in their communities. Of course, we now see the first African American, first vice president. That's something just to be excited about within itself. So just seeing how we are now, unfortunately, are getting the opportunities that we probably should have been getting, but at least we are moving in that direction to where we are actually being able to be celebrated culturally through the media. We're able to start participating in lawmaking changes, and being up and holding positions that unfortunately we never got the opportunity to. So Black history, it has to be celebrated across the board. And we're both excited to continue to upload traditions and bring that information to our students and just celebrate it, across the board, and teach others who don't know, who may not want to, don't know, but want to learn. And just embrace it and celebrate it.
Yeah, I completely agree, and definitely to your point, DuBoi. Especially even with like the having the new vice president being a woman of African American descent. There's still a lot of firsts that happen recently that people are still not given the opportunity to kind of be in certain roles. The civil rights movement wasn't that long ago. It's still, people are still alive today that were a part of that. It wasn't long ago that people couldn't vote, drink out of the same drinking fountain. So it's Black folks and like African Americans have been a part of this country since its inception, even beforehand. But depending on who's writing the history books or the textbooks, that history is sometimes not given the same opportunity. So I definitely agree that even though it should be, we should all be celebrated, there still needs to be an emphasis on celebrating the accomplishments that Black folks and African Americans have definitely given to this country, because a lot of people don't know certain things.
Yeah, I think, looking at different generations and what, Black history can mean to them, as you look at the older generations, and what they've lived through, and the younger generations who may not even be aware of it,
Right.
there's a gamut of understanding that's happening. There's a large degree of sharing that needs to happen so that everybody really kind of understands the different perspective of what it's about. My daughter's never seen a water fountain that says for colored people only, but my
Right.
parents have, and my parents had to drink from those water fountains. So it's important that that overall reflection happens, and that's a great reason, or I'm sorry, a great thing that Black History Month does is it allows us to share in that together so that we can have those conversations, and even amongst families you can share and talk that way. A few Christmas, I think it was, or was it? Yeah, it was Christmas. I remember my parents and my daughter were having a conversation, and my daughter was just asking them about the past, and I was there, and she was asking the grandparents a question, and I just thought it was a great. She just kept firing away questions, and I thought, this is a wonderful thing. I'm going to leave and allow them to have a private opportunity to continue to share, without dad, filtering it or making my daughter feel uncomfortable by asking her questions. And I think, Black History Month hopefully does that for a lot of people as well, is it provides that opportunity for someone to say, let me ask a question. It's Black History Month. Let me ask a question maybe that I wouldn't have felt as comfortable asking. But now that we have this format, let me embrace something here and ask and learn in the process.
Yeah.
So that's what it does.
And it's better to know than not know, it's just, it just like DuBoi said, it just brings it all together in one, and, it gives people a space for those who may not feel comfortable asking outside of a space, gives them the opportunity that they can ask and learn information that they may have not known before, which is okay.
Definitely. To kind of expand on guys learning and reflecting on Black History Month during this time, what are some other things that other folks can do to honor and commemorate Black History Month, not only during the month of February, but throughout the whole year?
What are things people can do? I would say for Black History Month, embrace what's out there. Embrace what society is doing to celebrate Black culture. Expand your thoughts. Don't just examine things from your own perspective, but try to see it from the eyes of another person. I think what happens often in conversations is people will bring up a topic, they'll bring up a subject, and then a person will reflect on it based off of what they've experienced. But try not to do that. Try to reflect on it based off of someone else's experience. Try to ask questions based off of what someone else has seen and what it's been to them and what was real for them. And I think in that capacity, people can begin to understand in a much greater realm than maybe just looking at it from their own personal point of view. So that's one thing that I would challenge people to do, especially when you talk about discriminations and racism and how it's hit for a person and what it's meant to them. I think people take it on a personal level when they think about themselves, but try to step out of that and try to think about what it meant to someone else and how that continues to make an impact on their lives. And then I think a new understanding comes from there.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, we all know 2020 was a rough year, and it was a lot of things that happened, unfortunately, that we wish never did happen. And I just think we have to continue to embrace change and understand when people say Black Lives Matters, it's not just something we're saying, but it's a movement. It's about change. It's about safety. It's about making change in the laws in the courtroom. It's about legislation. It's about racism. It's about police brutality. It's about a lot of things. So really understanding, like DuBoi said, what some of the things that are culturally that we're going through, or what some of the things culture that people differ from. We're going to all be different in some type of way, but being open and willingness to learn, being willing openness to ask questions, and just embrace change because it's coming.
Thank you for those suggestions and insights. And kind of wrap it up, just to kind of help Black Student Union, how can students get involved with you to get integrated or get engaged with the Black Student Union?
So, we're meeting on Wednesdays virtually, of course, until we're back on campus at 2 p.m. DuBoi and I will be sending out information for that. We're going to also start working, planning some upcoming events for the spring term, just to continue to keep our students engaged. We all know online and at home can be a bit rough, and sometimes, we may feel a little disengagement, but just be on the lookout for some information coming about some of our upcoming events virtually.
And they can reach out to us. We're looking to make greater use of the Blackboard website for the Black Student Union. So they can reach out to us directly and say that they would like access to the Black Student Union Blackboard site. And that would be a way to keep constantly connected to events and announcements. And that's a fabulous way. But yeah, save that time if they can, 2 o'clock on Wednesdays to be a part of meetings. Absolutely. And reach out to us, Aisha Robinson, DuBoi, McCarty. Just look out to connect with us on an email and tell us that you'd like to be added to that Blackboard site. And we can add you.
We ready and excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Spring
lots of ideas, lots of people out there hopefully wanting to be a part of it. And we want you to be a part. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you for taking some time and talking to us, not only about Black History Month, but also the Black Student Union, and just sharing the importance of the feeling, included and a part of something. So I really appreciate the time that you spent with me, and hopefully we're able to get some.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.